Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about respect, it's essential to first recognize that it begins within. Before you demand respect from others, you must establish it for yourself. Self-respect is not arrogance or pride, it is the quiet assurance that you are valuable and deserving of dignity. People will only treat you according to the standard you set for yourself. This is why boundaries are critical. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out, but guidelines to teach others how to engage with you. They are the invisible lines that define what is acceptable and what is not. When someone disrespects you, it often happens because they do not know or choose to ignore your boundaries. And this is where your response becomes crucial. You see, respect is not given by demand, it is earned and reinforced by how you communicate and hold your ground. Imagine a river flowing within its banks. The banks are the boundaries that guide the water. Without those banks, the river would overflow, causing destruction and chaos. Similarly, your life needs boundaries to maintain order and prevent the chaos that comes when others overstep. Boundaries are not selfish, they are necessary for healthy relationships and personal well-being. So how do you establish these boundaries? It begins with clarity. You must know what you stand for and what you will not tolerate. Many people fail to set boundaries because they fear confrontation or rejection. But let me remind you, a boundary that is not communicated is a boundary that cannot be respected. Speak clearly and confidently about what you expect from others. Your words carry weight, and when delivered with calm conviction, they set the tone for how others treat you. However, boundaries are not just about speaking up, they require consistent reinforcement. If someone disrespects you and you allow it to continue, you send a message that your boundaries are negotiable. Consistency is the key to teaching others how to treat you. This doesn't mean you have to be harsh or unforgiving. On the contrary, enforcing boundaries can be done with kindness and respect. It's not about controlling others, but about maintaining your own sense of dignity. For example, suppose someone habitually interrupts you in conversations. Instead of reacting emotionally or ignoring the behavior, you might say, "I value our discussions, but it's important for me to finish my thoughts before hearing your perspective." This approach is firm yet respectful, and it communicates your boundary without escalating the situation. Now, let's address the discomfort that often comes with setting boundaries. Many people hesitate because they fear being perceived as difficult or unkind. But remember, respecting yourself is not an act of selfishness, it is a demonstration of self-love. When you set boundaries, you teach others how to value you, and in doing so, you also inspire them to establish their own boundaries. It's a ripple effect that fosters healthier, more balanced relationships. Still, there will be moments when setting boundaries feels like an uphill battle. Some individuals will resist, test, or even ignore them entirely. This is where your inner strength is most needed. Do not be disheartened by their resistance. Instead, see it as an opportunity to reaffirm your commitment to self-respect. People may push back, but when they see that your boundaries are non-negotiable, they will either adapt or remove themselves from your life. Boundaries also serve as a filter for relationships. They help you discern who genuinely respects you and who does not. The people who value you will appreciate and honor your boundaries, while those who do not may drift away. And that is okay. Not everyone is meant to remain in your life, and not every connection is worth preserving at the cost of your self-respect. In setting boundaries, it's equally important to respect the boundaries of others. Just as you desire to be treated with dignity, so do the people around you. Mutual respect is the foundation of meaningful relationships, and when you practice it, you create an environment where respect becomes the norm, not the exception. Boundaries are not merely a defense mechanism, they are an expression of your worth. They remind you and others that your time, energy, and presence are valuable. When you set boundaries, you are not just protecting yourself, you are also teaching others the beauty of mutual respect and the strength of standing firm in your values. The journey to setting and maintaining boundaries may not always be easy, but it is always worthwhile. Each time you uphold your boundaries, you reinforce your self-respect and elevate the quality of your interactions. You show the world that you are not defined by how others treat you, but by how you choose to treat yourself. And so I urge you reflect on your boundaries. Are they clear? Are they consistent? Are they rooted in self-respect? Let this reflection guide you as you navigate relationships, ensuring that every connection honors the dignity and value that you bring to the table. Respect is not only something we desire from others, it is also something we must consistently display ourselves. There is a simple yet profound truth about human interaction. People are more likely to mirror the behavior they observe. When you model the respect you wish to receive, you set a standard for how you should be treated. Respect begins with the small things: greeting people warmly, listening attentively, and acknowledging their presence and contributions. These acts may seem insignificant, but they carry immense weight. They communicate to others that you see them, value them, and honor their humanity. When you engage with respect, you create an environment where others are encouraged to do the same. Let me be clear, leading by example is not about seeking approval or favor from others. It is about living out your principles and embodying the standards you believe in. Your actions should not depend on how others treat you, but on who you are as a person. This is where true strength lies, not in retaliation or defensiveness, but in the ability to rise above disrespect and maintain your integrity. Imagine encountering someone who speaks to you in a harsh or dismissive tone. Your natural instinct might be to respond in kind, to defend yourself by matching their negativity. But what happens when you choose a different approach? What happens when you respond with calmness, kindness, and unwavering respect? You disarm the other person, shifting the dynamic of the interaction. They may not change immediately, but your response plants a seed, one that challenges them to reconsider their behavior. This principle is particularly powerful in situations where you hold a position of authority or influence. When you lead by example, you inspire others to follow suit. For instance, in a workplace setting, a manager who treats their team with respect and fairness creates a culture where those values are upheld. The team members, in turn, are more likely to treat each other and the manager with the same level of respect. But what about situations where respect is not reciprocated, even when you model it consistently? Does leading by example still hold value? Absolutely. When you choose to remain respectful in the face of disrespect, you reinforce your own character and self-worth. You demonstrate to yourself and others that your behavior is not dictated by external circumstances, but by internal principles. There is a certain dignity in refusing to stoop to the level of disrespect. It requires strength, patience, and emotional intelligence. But it also sends a powerful message: you are in control of your actions, and you will not allow anyone to pull you away from your values. This is not weakness, it is the essence of true power. Let me share a story to illustrate this point. A man once faced relentless criticism and belittlement from a colleague who sought to undermine him at every turn. Rather than retaliate or sink to the same level, he chose to remain composed and professional. He greeted his colleague with kindness, acknowledged their contributions in meetings, and refrained from speaking ill of them, even in private. Over time, the colleague's hostility began to wane. They realized that their negativity was achieving nothing but isolating themselves. Eventually, the two individuals were able to find common ground, and their relationship transformed into one of mutual respect. This story is not about passivity or tolerating disrespect. It is about taking control of the narrative. When you lead by example, you become the author of your own story, refusing to let others dictate the script. You show that respect is not something you demand, it is something you embody, regardless of the circumstances. Of course, leading by example does not mean tolerating harmful behavior or allowing others to walk over you. It is about balancing firmness with grace, standing up for yourself without resorting to the same tactics as those who disrespect you. This balance requires discernment. You must know when to address the issue directly and when to let your actions speak louder than words. For example, if someone repeatedly interrupts you during a conversation, you can address it respectfully by saying, "I value your input, and I'd appreciate the opportunity to finish my thoughts before hearing yours." This statement is direct yet polite, asserting your boundary while maintaining a respectful tone. At the same time, continue to listen attentively when the other person speaks, showing them the respect you expect in return. Leading by example is not always easy, especially when faced with persistent disrespect. It can be tempting to abandon your principles and react emotionally. But in those moments, remind yourself of the bigger picture. Your actions are not just about the immediate situation, they are about the legacy you are building. Every choice you make contributes to the story of who you are and what you stand for. When you consistently model respect, you also attract people who value and share your principles. Like attracts like, and over time, you will find yourself surrounded by individuals who uplift and honor you. These are the relationships that enrich your life and reinforce the importance of staying true to your values. Ladies and gentlemen, leading by example is one of the most powerful ways to handle disrespect. It is not about being perfect or flawless, but about striving to be better in every interaction. It is about choosing to rise above negativity and embodying the respect you wish to see in the world. This is not an easy path, but it is a path of strength, integrity, and transformation. There are few things more tempting than reacting to disrespect with anger or frustration. Our emotions can quickly rise to the surface when we feel mistreated or belittled. Yet in those very moments, the power of restraint and calmness becomes our greatest tool. When faced with disrespect, the most powerful response we can give is not to engage in conflict, but to choose not to react at all. You see, there is strength in composure, there is power in responding with calmness. Reacting to disrespect with equal hostility only perpetuates a cycle of negativity. It escalates the situation and often leaves us feeling emotionally drained and regretful. But when we choose not to engage in conflict, we take control of the situation. We remain the calm in the storm, and in doing so, we deny the disrespect the power it seeks to have over us. Imagine a scenario where someone makes a cutting remark attempting to provoke you. In that moment, your instinct might be to fight back, to defend yourself or prove your point. But think for a moment about the effect that response will have. Does it resolve anything? Does it change the behavior of the other person? The answer, more often than not, is no. Responding with anger or hostility only fuels the fire of disrespect. It gives the other person what they want, a reaction. But when you choose to remain composed, you rob them of that power. You show that their words or actions do not determine your emotional state. You refuse to be manipulated by their disrespect. Instead, you remain focused on your own peace, your own principles, and your own strength. This ability to remain calm in the face of disrespect is not a sign of weakness, but of great inner strength. It takes discipline, patience, and emotional intelligence. The more you practice this restraint, the more you realize that you are in control of how you respond to others. Your peace of mind is not contingent upon the behavior of others, it is something you choose for yourself. Now, this doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or avoid addressing issues when necessary. It means you do not allow your emotions to control you. There is a difference between reacting out of anger and responding with intention. The latter allows you to engage with clarity, wisdom, and self-respect. It allows you to address disrespect without descending into conflict. One of the most powerful tools in this process is silence. In a moment where disrespect is evident, silence can be a powerful response. It doesn't mean you are giving in or that you have no voice. On the contrary, silence can be a reflection of your strength and your decision to not waste your energy on negativity. Silence communicates that you are not willing to lower your standards to engage in petty disputes. It conveys to the other person that their words or actions hold no weight in your life. Now, how can we practice this? The first step is self-awareness. You must recognize when your emotions are starting to rise and take a step back. In those moments, remind yourself that your peace is far more valuable than any fleeting argument or disrespect. Breathe deeply, give yourself a moment of reflection, and ask yourself, how do I want to respond? The next time you are faced with disrespect, I encourage you to respond with calmness. Do not react impulsively or allow the situation to control your emotions. Choose the power of composure, and in doing so, you will not only preserve your own dignity, but also set an example for others to follow. The strength of silence, the power of restraint, this is the mark of true leadership and the pathway to handling disrespect with grace and wisdom. In a world where people's opinions and judgments often carry so much weight, it can be easy to fall into the trap of allowing others to dictate your sense of worth. But there is a profound truth that you must come to understand: your value is not defined by the opinions, judgments, or actions of others. Your value is inherent, unchanging, and independent of how others see you. It is time to recognize that the only person who can truly define your worth is you. When people disrespect you or fail to acknowledge your contributions, it's easy to feel devalued. You may start questioning your abilities or wondering if you are deserving of the respect you seek. But the moment you allow others' disrespect to diminish your sense of value, you give away your power. You give away the authority to determine your own worth. And that is a dangerous thing to do. Your value is not tied to the validation of others. It is tied to who you are, the gifts you bring into the world, and the impact you make on those around you. The only measure of your worth should be based on your own self-awareness and understanding of the unique purpose you have in this life. To understand your value, you must first recognize that you are a unique creation. There is no one else in the world exactly like you. The experiences you've lived, the lessons you've learned, and the perspectives you bring are all valuable. Every moment of your life has contributed to the person you are today, and that person is worthy of respect. Consider the concept of a diamond. A diamond, regardless of whether someone recognizes its worth, does not lose its value. Its brilliance and beauty remain the same, regardless of external acknowledgement. Similarly, your value remains constant, whether or not people respect you. It is time to understand that respect from others is a reflection of their own understanding, not a measurement of your worth. This understanding is empowering. It frees you from the need for external validation and allows you to focus on what truly matters: growing and improving yourself. When you are grounded in your own value, the disrespect of others has less power over you. You no longer need to seek validation because you already know who you are and the incredible potential within you. To focus on your value means to concentrate on your growth. It means investing in yourself, nurturing your talents, and developing the skills and knowledge that will allow you to fulfill your purpose. When you focus on your value, you are not preoccupied with seeking recognition from others. Instead, you are focused on becoming the best version of yourself, and that, in turn, naturally commands respect. A person who is continually working on their growth and development will always be more attractive and influential than someone who relies on the validation of others. When you focus on becoming better each day, whether in your personal life, your professional endeavors, or your relationships, you become a force that demands respect without having to ask for it. Let me illustrate this with a simple analogy. Imagine a tree in a forest. The tree does not ask for the admiration of the birds or the passing winds. It simply grows, and in its growth, it becomes strong, sturdy, and resilient. Over time, the other trees, the animals, and the environment begin to respect it, not because it sought their respect, but because it focused on what it needed to do grow. Similarly, when you focus on your value, you naturally build yourself into someone who is deserving of respect. Others may not immediately recognize your worth, but as you continue to grow, it becomes undeniable. Your actions, your character, and your strength speak louder than any words of disrespect or judgment. Focusing on your value also requires letting go of the need to please everyone. Not everyone will appreciate you, and that's okay. The pursuit of universal approval is a futile exercise. People will respect you not because you try to please them, but because you stay true to yourself and honor your own worth. Your authenticity, your self-respect, and your unwavering commitment to your growth will make you magnetic. Moreover, focusing on your value means not allowing the disrespect of others to diminish your self-esteem. It is all too easy to internalize the hurtful words or actions of others, believing them to be a reflection of your inadequacy. But when you recognize that your worth is not determined by others, you are free from the weight of their opinions. You stand firm in the knowledge that you are valuable, regardless of external circumstances. Another crucial aspect of focusing on your value is refusing to engage with negative people who seek to bring you down. There will always be individuals who, out of insecurity or jealousy, will attempt to undermine you, but you do not have to give them space in your life. Surround yourself with those who uplift and encourage you. Seek relationships that honor and respect you, for those are the relationships that will nurture your growth. When you focus on your value, you begin to recognize that your worth is not dependent on how others treat you. It is based on your understanding of who you are and the gifts you have to offer. By nurturing this understanding, you become impervious to the negativity and disrespect that others may try to impose upon you. You are not swayed by the opinions of those who do not see your value because you already know it. As you continue to focus on your value, you begin to set a standard for how others should treat you. When you know your worth, you no longer tolerate disrespect or mistreatment. You attract people who honor you, and you create an environment where respect is a natural outcome of your self-awareness. To focus on your value is to step into your power. It is to embrace the reality that you are worthy of respect, regardless of how others may choose to treat you. It is a mindset shift that elevates your sense of self and empowers you to live authentically and confidently. And in doing so, you will find that others will begin to respect you not because you demand it, but because your value radiates from within. The next time you find yourself in a situation where your worth is questioned or disregarded, remember your value is not for sale. It is not subject to the opinions of others. It is intrinsic and no one can take it away from you. Focus on your growth, stay true to yourself, and know that you are valuable. In doing so, you will always command the respect that you truly deserve. In life, you will undoubtedly encounter moments where people attempt to diminish you, ignore your contributions, or outright disrespect you. But there is one thing that no one can ever take away from you: your ability to stand up for yourself and set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are not walls that keep people out, but rather they are the protective framework that allows you to engage with others in a way that honors your dignity and respects your worth. When you set boundaries, you are telling the world, this is who I am, and this is how I will allow others to treat me. Setting boundaries is not about being rigid or unkind, but about recognizing your value and protecting your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. In a world where people can sometimes forget the importance of respect, your boundaries become the line between self-respect and self-sacrifice. Setting boundaries is an act of self-care. It is an acknowledgement that you deserve to be treated with dignity, respect, and fairness. But before you can set boundaries with others, you must first establish them within yourself. You must be clear about your own values, your needs, and your limits. Only then can you communicate these boundaries effectively to others. Imagine trying to build a house without a foundation. The structure would have no stability, no security. Similarly, if you do not have clear boundaries in place, you leave yourself vulnerable to being taken advantage of, mistreated, or disrespected. Boundaries are your foundation in relationships, whether personal, professional, or social. They provide clarity, respect, and order in your interactions. Without them, misunderstandings arise and people may unknowingly or purposefully overstep. The first step in setting boundaries is to recognize that it is your responsibility to communicate them. Too often, we wait for others to figure out what we need or expect. We assume that people should automatically know how to treat us or what we will tolerate. But the truth is that others cannot respect boundaries they don't know exist. You are the one who must define and assert your limits. In some cases, this might mean having a difficult conversation. It might involve letting someone know that certain behaviors or actions are unacceptable. For instance, if a colleague consistently interrupts you in meetings, you must communicate that you expect to be given the space to speak. If a friend disrespects your time by consistently showing up late or canceling plans, you need to set a boundary around punctuality and consistency. Setting boundaries is not a one-time act. It is an ongoing practice of reinforcing what you will and will not accept in your relationships. Some people will test your boundaries. They may attempt to push the limits you set to see how far they can go. In these moments, it is essential to remain firm. You must be consistent in enforcing your boundaries because consistency sends a powerful message: you respect yourself and expect others to do the same. There will be times when people push back against your boundaries. They may try to guilt you, manipulate you, or convince you that you are being unreasonable. But in those moments, remember that you are not setting boundaries to control others. You are setting them to protect your peace, your energy, and your well-being. If someone cannot respect your boundaries, then it is a reflection of their lack of respect for you, not a reflection of your worth. The act of setting boundaries is not only about protecting yourself from others, it is also about protecting yourself from your own negative patterns. Many times we allow others to disrespect us because we haven't fully set boundaries within ourselves. We may be afraid of confrontation or rejection, or we may fear losing the approval of others. But when you fail to set boundaries, you put yourself in a position where you are forced to sacrifice your peace for the sake of others. And that, my friends, is a dangerous place to be. At first, her colleagues resisted. They tried to push back, but she remained firm in her stance. Over time, they respected her boundaries, and she found that not only did her workload become more manageable, but she also gained the respect of her colleagues. She had taken control of her situation, and by doing so, she had elevated her own worth in their eyes. Setting boundaries is not about building walls or becoming rigid in your interactions. It is about creating a safe space for yourself, a space where you can exist without the fear of being taken advantage of. Boundaries allow you to engage with others authentically while maintaining your own integrity and peace. They are not selfish, they are necessary for healthy relationships. Setting boundaries is a vital skill for handling people who don't respect you. It is an act of self-care, self-respect, and self-love. By establishing and maintaining boundaries, you protect your emotional, mental, and physical health, and you create an environment in which respect can flourish. You deserve to be treated well, and setting boundaries ensures that you are treated with the dignity and respect you rightfully deserve.